Ippo is in his payback arc where he goes around and helps his friends by beating them up while wearing jeans. But this time he came in shorts and it's against the eyebrow Grim Reaper Mashiba. Both of them are getting ready in the corner. Itagaki took Ippo's wrist weights off and told Mashiba to lock in because Ippo is in his Rock Lee mode. Ippo is already in the southpaw stance and tries some jabs to see if he can pull it off properly. Mashiba's coach can't even believe how fast Ippo learned to fight southpaw. He knows Ippo as this blind bull rusher with no technique, but things have changed, little bro. Mashiba is pissed because before they got into the ring, Ippo said he's not sure he won't injure him. As he prepares his blade, he says that's because he's sure he's gonna f him up. And the bell rings. Ippo steps in with a force that could move a truck. Mashiba's snake arms try to fend Ippo off but without success. Ippo's like an oiled up bowling ball. He rolls in without resistance. Mashiba is impressed that Ippo really managed to learn southpaw. Likewise, Ippo gives him credit for his precise flickers. He says they're not random because Mashiba goes for the head. That's why you have to keep your head moving. As he says this, we can see Mashiba's flickers graze Ippo's head like a bullet. And finally, he pushes into Mashiba's chest. Mashiba says southpaw or orthodox, it doesn't matter because Ippo's rushing speed is top tier. But Mashiba pushes him back with no issues. He looks like Piccolo as his arms extend across the ring. He says you talked all that shit with only this much to back it up? Mashiba's coach says Kamogawa made a mistake because this is what it means to be an active boxer. Bro is actively dissing Ippo's retirement. And now the most dangerous phrase in Hajime no Ippo. Ippo says, I can't do anything like this, but I can't go back without being helpful. Did you hear that? He wants to be helpful. In Ippo code, this means murder. And then Mashiba says, can go home. And he swings his right down like a guillotine. Is that the proper way to treat a guest, bro? Ippo flies back 10 feet from that right and is now against the ropes. What will happen now? Dempsey roll? Gazelle punch? No, worse. He says not yet. I still haven't been helpful. No, not these words again. It gets scarier every time. But then Itagaki sees something. As the two rush in, Itagaki interrupts them. What's this, little bro? You want a 2 versus 1? The randoms say he couldn't keep watching, that's why he stopped it. But Itagaki says, your legs, big bro. You forgot to take off your weights, man. And as we hear the weights hit the canvas, Mashiba and his coach look at this unfold with absolute confusion. Now it's some proper Rock Lee action, bro. Next thing you know, Ippo will open the 8 Mara gates. Itagaki says, now you can let loose. Let's get it. Ippo dances around with his light body now. He says he's certain that during the fight with Rosario, this precise scenario will unfold. So please pay close attention. Bro, he's not only saying watch me teach you, but also pay attention, because you might not even see me move, son. Ippo is dangerous, he's in his aura arc. Mashiba says, you think without the weights you're stronger? You think this is a manga? Don't f with me. And box! Ippo steps in again with his right leg, this time light as a feather. As Mashiba throws a lightning flicker, Ippo slips to the side while looking straight ahead. He sees every motion clearly. He ducks under the jab and is now approaching the outside of Mashiba's lead leg. We see a flashback where Ippo trained his southpaw stance on some piece of wood, because the best training is simple training. And he's on the outside. This is the exact moment where fighting a southpaw becomes uncomfortable. He's officially on the outside of Mashiba's lead leg now, and Ippo hits his guard with a powerful left hook to the body. As Mashiba answers with the left hook, Ippo is already pulling back and preparing for the next punch. There it is, an overhand left so blurry that you almost can't see it. He's moving on different timing now. And it hits Mashiba's guard like a 1,000-pound axe from the sky. And while Mashiba is still recovering from that punch, Ippo has already circled out and repositioned. Mashiba says, that combo just now, what the f was that? He can't even believe what he just felt. That's how fast it happened. The whole gym can't believe this. They went from it's over to I thought he was retired. And look at how Ippo is almost crouching like a panther. Ippo says, yeah, that just went almost exactly as I imagined. Man, can you believe this? He's imagining scenarios and executing them. This is a new version of Ippo, I'm telling you. I can move. I can keep going. Ippo moves to his right. Mashiba wants him to make a move. And then Ippo looks for another angle from the left. Mashiba's coach says Ippo didn't have this distance when he was active. Mashiba also remembers him as someone who fought from up close. And there are still some people out there not believing he will return. Every character is commenting on how he developed as a boxer. All this praise would mean nothing if he doesn't come back. Ippo says, I need to be more helpful. Uh-oh, he's about to do something again. And Mashiba confirms what I've just said. Coming into my gym and talking all that shit, you made me think, is he really 100% retired? That's what I'm saying, Mashiba bro. He says Ippo hasn't slacked on his basic training at all. He's training like an active fighter, bro. And he throws a sharp jab that looks like a ball of energy approaching at light speed. Can Ippo even deal with this? And he's already in. He stepped in like a testosterone-fueled gazelle on rollerblades. Look at this menace in his headgear. He looks like a really helpful guy. And his left takes flight. And an uppercut. Another left hook. And a series of disgusting blows. Mashiba's against the ropes as Ippo absolutely rains down bombs on him. This is Mashiba, who's currently fighting for the world title, by the way. And the other one is just a retired chill guy. Mashiba's coach says as Ippo seems to drag his feet at a distance, he just bursts right in. He didn't have this abrupt change in rhythm either when he was active. And because he's on the outside, Mashiba can't attack with his right hand. That way he throws as many lefts as he wants. If he didn't know better, he'd think Ippo was a natural southpaw. Can you imagine how crazy Ippo will be as a switch hitter when he comes back? I'm gonna send that jaw sky high. Mashiba says this as he throws a sharp upper. You made a mistake, And Ippo answers with the left hand from the gutters. It's so far back that it almost touches my keyboard. Mashiba realizes his error and steps back immediately. This would have knocked him out even through the headgear. Bro, look at how scared Mashiba is here. He knows it would have taken his head off clean. Ippo really was aiming for his head with proper power. Mashiba's coach steps in. We need a timeout. He apologizes. It was his mistake. Now he understands that Ippo can pull off a perfect copy of Rosario. Even Mashiba says he has to take him seriously now. From now on, this is the title fight strategy. Just think about this. Ippo is the title fight strategy for Rosario. This dude is building champions left and right, man. And Mashiba takes a wide stance. He looks so cool, bro. Ippo says his body isn't angled but rather squared up. This is what Mashiba prepared for Rosario. You coming or what? But Ippo is pacing back and forth in the distance again. He won't let others dictate his rhythm. Mashiba says, if you're not coming, I'll just come to you. And he throws a slicing left hand. As he throws it, Ippo steps in exactly at the same time. He looks at Mashiba's foot position as an indicator for where to step. Step over and hit him. But something is wrong. He's not even close to hitting him. He's further back than before. And the right is already coming. Ippo sees death approaching. But he can raise his guard in time. And Mashiba launches his right like a cannonball. Will it land on Ippo's guard? No. It pierces his body like a spear. Ippo has only one word in mind for this. How? He says he doesn't understand, but he'll try as many times as it takes. This is Ippo for you. And he ducks the left to step in. He parries and blocks two more lefts, and then again the steel beam of a right to the body. Ippo tries to step in again, and he blocks another one, and another one to the body. He says no matter how many times he steps in, Mashiba's right keeps drilling holes into his body. He says it's like getting hit by an I-beam, but he understands now. By sticking out his front leg, he creates a barrier, so Ippo can't just step over it as easily anymore. And with the squared stance, his right hand is closer to Ippo. When Ippo finishes his analysis, he says amazing to give Mashiba credit. But Mashiba doesn't care one bit. He sparks Ippo mid-praise. Ippo says, I was complimenting you, dog. You really sucker punched me, man? Mashiba responds, we're still sparring, dumbass. And he gives Ippo a blizzard of flicker jabs. Just look at this. Ippo is blocking every single flicker and says his left hand is hard to dodge. The fact that he dodges and blocks is absolutely wild to me. Back then, he and Kimura could do almost nothing against the flicker, and the right is on its way again. Ippo says the right is coming for the body. He already knows. And it slams into his head like a piano. Ippo's face explodes like a grapefruit. He really went up top and forced Ippo to lower his guard for it. Ippo says it's perfect, it could work well even on the world level. And they wrapped up the 3 rounds just as Ippo promised. Ippo says he's glad nobody was injured, but Mashiba says, what the f are you saying? You came all the way out here, let's do some more. Bro is hungry. Ippo says he's retired and gives some other excuses. He doesn't want it to get out of hand basically. Mashiba says you've still got gas in the tank, you're fine. Ippo says, but... Look at Mashiba's eyes. He's burning from the inside. He has a mission. He says, you think I missed it? That night, the f did you think you were doing in someone else's house? You kidnapped my little sister. You figured if you had a shot, you'd go as far as you could, huh? Bro, Mashiba has got to be the biggest schizo in Hajime no Ippo. He's literally writing a movie script in his head. Unforgivable. I'm not letting this chance to pulverize you go to waste. Ippo just wanted to be helpful, but Mashiba just wants to beat on him. Why would he hate him so much that he wants to hurt him? Ah, that's it. Ippo says we're adults now, bro. It wasn't anything big. It was sweet. But what does he do? What's the move here? And he continues. I'd rather that you not use the situation just to harass me like this. Ippo speaks up now. Another thing he didn't have when he was an active boxer. Mashiba says, those eyes, they f***ing piss me off. I'm gonna f*** you up. And that just now wasn't even a conversation, by the way. Those were their thoughts. They communicated by looking at each other like dogs. Then Mashiba breaks the silence. Well, are we going or not? Ippo clenches his teeth and takes a step. He shouts, let's go! Bro, Ippo wants a brawl himself now. He knows this won't just go away. He has to beat some sense into Mashiba. And they start dancing. A right to the body from Mashiba. Another to the head by Ippo. But Mashiba blocks it. And then Mashiba's foot clashes against Ippo's. This throws Ippo off balance. Ippo shouts at him, you whacked my leg! Mashiba responds, it wasn't on purpose. Can you imagine Mashiba explaining himself like this to Ippo? An uppercut by Ippo. Then Ippo steps forward with his left foot. Mashiba's coach sees this and immediately calls Ippo out for going back to orthodox. This isn't even practice anymore. They're just duking it out, bro. Forget the world title for a second. Mashiba shouts, don't stop us. Ippo apologizes because he got carried away, but he's pissed as well. They're left by Mashiba. Doesn't matter. Ippo answers with a crispy overhand left. Mashiba says, die already. And Ippo says, you're very strong. I think Mashiba meant it as a compliment too. And a beautiful exchange as we see only their silhouettes. The brothers-in-law fighting it out. But it isn't over yet. They're having a whole conversation as they're obliterating each other in the center of the ring. Mashiba tells him to leave his sister alone. Ippo asks him, what right do you have to decide that? And then he asks Ippo, how far are you planning to take it? Ippo says, I'm not doing anything. And usually this would be an excuse, but the whole community knows Ippo really isn't doing anything. Mashiba says, you're not even her boyfriend. Ippo responds, because you're always interfering. Just back off for a second and don't open the door, little bro. And as they have their little discussion, Ippo continues to give Mashiba advice. You're wide open. And he hits him to the body. Mashiba says, that was bait, bitch. And he responds with an uppercut that flings Ippo's head back. As they give each other brain damage, Mashiba's coach says, this is incredible. And they spark each other with proper skull-cracking power. Mashiba with an overhand right and Ippo with the left hook. Mashiba is a lightweight, by the way. This means Ippo is going toe-to-toe with someone 2 weight classes above him. And then Ippo throws himself down and says, I'm done. Mashiba sees this as a victory and says, yeah, you are. He's done as well. You can hear it. Everybody celebrates this as a win for Mashiba, but Mashiba's coach says it was a good spar. How about Ippo comes to help every day? Mashiba says ain't gonna happen. He just knocked him out. No way he can even move. But then Ippo is already gone. Where is he? He's already showing Mashiba's sparring partners all the insights and techniques so they can help Mashiba better. What was that about being done? Ippo is in perfect condition and ready to go. Mashiba and his coach can't believe what they're seeing. Who is this guy, man? Ippo says we're heading back. Do your best in the title match. Mashiba's coach says Ippo might even be stronger than he was when he was active. But as he says this, we see Mashiba going outside. He says Makunochi. They look at each other. Fucking go already. And he turns around and leaves as Ippo and Itagaki smile. They know what he meant. We all know what he meant. With full support, they shout after Mashiba, please become world champion. We know what you meant, Mashiba. You meant